Thank you for joining me, Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist. I don't practice as a preacher anymore. The call went off my life, and I received that when I heard that deep inner voice to get out. I lost my tolerance for some of the stuff I was seeing in the ministry and decided to get out and pursue life in different ways. But I have decades of knowledge and information and qualifications and all that stuff, and I want to help people with what I know from life experience and from ministerial work as a preacher. One of the great things today is in a lot of the areas of relationship is trying to navigate the variables in human nature or human personality and human character. And one of the things that is happening to people now is the trying to navigate the cunningness and deceitfulness and the cleverness of the broken, fallen human spirit. A lot of this is being put into the category of narcissist, and that's fine. Don't have a problem with that. It's really not up to me to decide, to be honest. But what I do know is, as a person that had to deal with evil in its deepest core as a minister, and to navigate it in the best possible way that you could, because when you're a preacher, for some strange reason, you attract evil. I tell you, I've seen evil in its most cunning magnificence. I know that seems like a strange word for evil, but when you see evil working in its magnificence, the way in which it can just pull apart families and people, and you're consciously standing there watching it, and these people have got no idea, and you're just watching it destroy people's lives, right? Evil. You can read evil through the spirit of discernment and closeness to God through fasting and prayer. You're just watching it, just wrecking day by day. It is, I'm telling you, it's real. There's supernatural beings that are doing everything they can to infiltrate and destroy. Yes, there are angels and the Holy Spirit's there, but fallen human nature just has a way of falling prey to evil in every possible, as I said, magnificence to allow it to destroy them. And a lot of people aren't conscious that this is happening. And when you're a minister, when you're fighting against evil, I mean evil in all its different dimensions and aspects and cunningnesses and ways in which it just goes about doing its business, I'm telling you, it can be shocking. And then when it turns on you and it starts coming after you as a preacher and you're begging God to take it away, I'm telling you, man, these powers, these evil powers that we're up against, even with Christ, as close as you can be to Christ. And just remember what evil did to Christ. People say, well, he let it. Was part of God's plan, but it was a brutal, malicious piece of work that Christ's body and Christ's mind and soul went through to resolve our issues between ourselves and God, due to the way in which the devil went about bringing man to his fall. When you look into the garden and everything that happened there in the Garden of Eden, or whatever you want to call it, in chapter 3 of Genesis, the whole thing was based on the undermining of the glory of God and who he was and the authority that he had and the way in which he cared. God cared for the people that he made, Adam and Eve. He didn't want man to be alone, so he gave the woman as a helper. And thank God for the women that are in this world that stand by their men and want to help and want to be there and want to produce something that's powerful and that lasts and I've got a few friends that are in this power, but for some strange reason it's eluded me to this stage in my life, as hard as I've tried. And I don't say that with sympathy, I just say this is how hard it is to navigate the principalities and powers that are working against us, even with the full measure of the Holy Spirit working on your side. I'm telling you, it's a battle that is merciless, that will try and drive you to the grave, to insanity. And this is what's happening to a lot of people today. And the main way in which the devil uses his powers against us is through relationships. Because he knows once you've handed your heart over to somebody else, if that person's not strong and on point, they'll just use that person. The powers of darkness will just use that person against you. It's as simple as that. I'm telling you, that's the basis of it all. I have seen even the most integral, dignified people be pulled to pieces micro-incrementally over a duration of time, that by the time the powers of darkness were finished with that person and their personality and character, you would not know who that person was. And it's frightening, confronting, and very, very sobering. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is you can't over-spiritualize all the stuff that's going on in the damage of humanity through relationships. And whilst narcissism is what it is, and let's call it what it is, destructive in all its different aspects, if you watch all the videos on narcissism, I guess that just leaves us all, really, to conclude that we're narcissists. Because there's so many different videos on so many different ways in which the narcissist works, right down to not answering a text, right? Then I just think it's more than that. I think that the bigger picture of the problem goes way beyond that one definition of how evil works. And maybe I'm stretching it, maybe I'm not, but I like to put it down to this. I think that most of the evil that we see working against people, personally and through relationships and beyond that, as in when you look at cults and the way in which a leader can take out a whole mass of people, say Jonestown, say the Davidians over there, what happened there, that was quite a different kind of a situation, but they did get maimed, those people, and killed. Evil can even work in places that are supposed to be representing good. And that's a whole different subject. If you go through my theology channel and listen to the teachings there, it shows you how evil uses good to produce evil. Evil uses devotion towards God to produce evil, if it's not done right. That's how complicated and complex this battle is. Evil can use good, right? You look at relationships. Evil can use good to bring about evil on people. And you have to understand this principle. It's not over-spiritualizing it. It's the way fallen human nature works. And I've come up, this is just me, take it or leave it, really, it doesn't matter either way, that micro-incremental dark triad characteristic traits, right, filter through human nature in diverse and dynamic ways which infiltrate the good that people are trying to do for one another in a destructive way. Micro-incremental dark triad characteristic traits filter through people in dynamic and diverse ways in which they bring about destructive behaviors to people that they love, right? And these people do love the people that they're doing this to in most cases. just in so many multiple ways, evil ways. When you hear of ministers and people like this that have sexually molested people and all this sort of thing, again, these people didn't set out to be that way. I can assure you they did not set out to be that way. Although there are pedophiles that go into religions where they know they can access children, right? That's a whole different criminal area that is really, really, really bad. When you look at people that have set out to devote themselves to do good and have become evil, you've got to comprehend where and why this happens to these people, how their religion turns against them. This is the same in relationships. What is causing these people, right, that are participating in a relationship with a genuinely good person, right, that's giving A-grade supply as a male or A-grade supply as a female, mental and emotional, physical and spiritual provision to their partner, and the partner's just completely sabotaging all of it, right? What is it when everything started out well for it to end so bad? Yeah, you can go right back into the psychological dynamics of childhood and all the rest of it. That's fine, and that's legit, 100% legit. But at the end of the day, right, I don't care who you are or what your background is, you have to be able to recognize evil. And you have to be able to call it for what it is. Even if it narrows right down to a squinting eye. All right? Because evil comes and goes like the day and the night. And it's a matter of how much you can tolerate or how much of this person is going to wreck the relationship before people give in. Or before they just decide that they're going to psychologically maim this person through a discard, a little illegitimate discard. A lot of people go into exclusive relationships and have no intention of playing a proper part in that relationship. So this is an introduction to these talks, which are going to be on micro-incremental dark triad characteristic traits, right? And I'm not going to start naming things or anything. I'm just going to leave it open. And I'll see you in talk number 2. We're going to get into it. We're going to go right down into what can happen, how it happens, and where you can end up if you're not careful. This is Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison. Bye for now.